in Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. How's the weather there?
It's not as good as it is where you are. You're in Medellin, right?
No, I'm in Bogotá.
Oh, you're in Bogotá. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm Kim. Nice to meet you.
Okay. I'm Crystal Day.
And this is my husband, David.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you guys.
I love the name, Crystal Day. That's cool.
Thanks.
So, how long were you living in America? I mean, the United States.
So I'm from California. I was like born and raised very close to San Francisco area, and I was there for I mean, since I was born till about like my mid to late 20s, and then I started going to different states, and then I started going abroad.
Oh, okay, cool. So what made you want to leave the U.S.?
So many different factors.
Let us know. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it just comes down to like the point of where you are in your life, as well as like the timing and the things that are happening, right? So when I was in California, I originally was a tourism major, so that was actually my degree. And I kind of just went for like just, the 9 to 5 in San Francisco for a year. They actually had like a tourism kind of like department that I was actually very qualified, if not overqualified for. And they were like, oh yeah, just do this job. And then once you do this job, you could easily like get promoted after a year. I'm like, okay, did the whole thing after a year. And I interviewed for it, went through like 4 or 5 different interviews. And basically I didn't get the job because I didn't look the part.
Really?
So,
yeah,
I literally found out, like, through the grapevine, that they were like, yeah, they want like a certain kind of girl that wears certain kind of clothes with certain kind of heels. And then in the end, they didn't even hire a woman. They hired a man who didn't have any education in tourism and was incredibly underqualified. And so you know how the whole spiel was. So it became this whole thing where I was just kind of like in a point in my life where I'm like, okay, so I'm like 24, 25. I'm not gonna be in a job where, I mean, I don't have anything tying me down. I didn't have a family. I wasn't with anybody. So like I was with people who had been with the company for 5 years, and they were younger than me. And they were like, it pays the bills. And I'm like, you're already like 22 and you're like settling, like this is the life. I'm like, why? You have, I mean, like, it's very different if you have a family or you have something that really needs to tie you down and you got to help someone out. But if it's just you, like, why is this, that's it? Why are you just settling? Yeah. So, after that, I was like, no, I'm out. And then I was like, I'm going to try to go back into the industry and tourism. So like I applied for a job in Alaska, got that job. It was amazing, but it's of course only seasonal because winter is like intense over there. Yeah, it's like darkness, like 24 hours of darkness over there.
You're like 3 months, right? 3.
Yeah. But it's really cool in the summertime because like it's the opposite. So like it's like 20 to 24 hours of sunlight. So it's like beautiful in summertime in Alaska. It's dope. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So it becomes a thing where like most of the people in the industry or like that make their money in Alaska just have to work like during the summer because that's where everything happens. And then during the winter, they live there and try to survive, I guess.
Yeah. I saw a movie called, what was it? 30 Days, 30 Nights back in the day. Vampires. Yeah. They would come there when it got dark for like all them days, and they'd just feast on all the Alaskans. It's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. So, I mean, and then from there, it was like really cool. Like I loved Alaska. I was like, oh, but I can't live here all year. So I'll do a thing where I go like in one state during the summer and another state during the other, like the winter season. And then, so it's and I was going to go back and forth. So it's enough where things are changing and it's interesting, but there's still some kind of like routine and there's like stability and stuff. And then basically when I was going to try to go back to Alaska, so I did Alaska and then I did Colorado, I got into a ski accident in Colorado. And I tore my ACL, which is basically like the main ligament in your knee.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was
it over here.
Oh yeah, no, it was not pleasant. And so, but I had already like interviewed and gotten the job for the next summer in Alaska, which was like my dream job. I was gonna be like a whale watching tour guide, like on a ship and everything. Yeah, I was so excited. I was like, this is it, you know. And then I went home for, you know, see the family before I was going to go back to Alaska after like the transition. And literally a week before I was supposed to start, they were like, wait a second, like what medication are you on for your knee? And then I told them, and they're pretty high meds because there's like a lot of pain and everything. And they were like, but you need to pass the random drug test for the Port Authority. And some of those meds are too high, and like and basically they were like, you're not gonna pass. And I was like, no. So they were like, we can't take you.
I mean, but yeah, they know what happened to you. That's stupid.
I know. It was like, I was quite upset about it. Like, just like, oh no. And then, so for like 2 months, I was stuck in California with my family and I had no job. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I had like an early, like midlife crisis in my 20s, you know, like, yeah. So, I mean, and then I was just like, you know what, maybe this means I'm supposed to like be somewhere else. Like, I'm going to try like living abroad, but you know, like abroad is such a big step, right?
Yeah.
So instead of like going straight into like some kind of industry I knew, I had friends who recommended volunteering first, because if you volunteer, at least like the program will provide you everything, like flights, accommodation, insurance, all of the documentation. You don't have to worry about visa. So they're like, yeah, volunteer, because if you do that, not only are you giving back your time, but you can actually test if you can actually live outside of Western comfort, outside of the United States, without having to also stress about all the red tape. Like you can actually go straight into the transition of that. So I was like, okay. And I applied for a bunch of them. And basically I got accepted to teaching English in the country, Georgia. Have you heard of it?
In Russia?
It's right under Russia. It's a former Soviet Union. It's super, super tiny.
Wow.
It used to be a part of Russia. Yeah, really, really good. It's so funny too, because like when I tell people I like taught English in Georgia, they're like, oh my God, that's that state. Their English is that bad? And I'm like, no.
Actually, their English is that bad in Georgia.
I was like, no, not the state, like the country. Yeah. So basically I got accepted to the program and I went, and I kind of just never looked back since. It's been like almost 8 years that I've lived abroad in 5 different countries.
Wow. That is amazing.
Super interesting, man. You should write a book. Have you read it?
No. I mean, I've considered, but like, that's also a process.
Hey, do it. It's definitely a niche. She's writing the book right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So on a 1 to 10 scale, other than the job market in the US and the stereotypes in the US, other than those things, on a 1 to 10 scale, how was your experience growing up in the US?
I would say like, I mean, for the most, it's so hard, like, because my family isn't from the US. So my family immigrated from the Philippines. And so I'm basically first generation. So it's also kind of tricky, because as much as I want to say it's like a full experience in the US, it's also very much a cultural one. So like my parents raised me still like in a very strict household with like rules and cultural expectations from another country, like from the Philippines, you know? So like I grew up with like, you know, like girls going to sleepovers and my parents being like, no, they're gonna murder you. Their families are like, you know, like, and I'm just like, but that's what like teenage girls do. Like they have sleepovers. Like why can't I go, you know? So like I did, like in a way I've had like the full experience, but not necessarily, you know what I mean? So like as a country living there, I think, you know, like growing up, it was probably like a like 7 or 8, you know, because like you grow up, and for the most part, and the area that I grew up in is actually very diverse, and there's actually a lot of like Asian community. Actually, I think Caucasian people are actually the minority of the area where I'm in.
Yeah.
So it was really nice where I was always exposed to different types of people, and that was really cool. But, you know, like at the same time, it was just also kind of hard because like there was so much I still wanted to do, or the things that I expected to do, but my family had a very different perspective. Like I never went out for New Year's for a party ever when I was in the US living with my parents, because in the Filipino culture, that's a family holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a thing where like, I'm like 18 or like 19 and I'm like, I'm gonna go to New Year's and they're like, no, you're never gonna leave the house on that day. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey,
I'm so sad. Like I was, you know.
don't feel bad. They were trying to save you. It's a good thing. My family is from there, and I still didn't do a lot of that stuff. So don't feel bad. It's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I bet. I mean, in the long run, it's just like, yeah. And I think that's also what was also moving me to get out, was more of the fact that like I had also like a family that held me back a lot. So it was just more just kind of like, well, I really want to explore, you know, either more of the United States or outside of the United States and kind of just do my own thing. I've like always been that way. But I mean, like, it's so hard because I feel like in different points of my life, that number would change, you know? So I feel like as a child growing up, like for the most part, like my family was like relatively safe. Like I was happy. I had everything I needed, you know, like a pretty good childhood, you know, despite some of like the crazy, like Asian, like restrictions and stuff. And but like high school was kind of weird. University was like was pretty good. Like I loved my university life. That would be probably more like a 10. And then when you start becoming an adult and working, that number definitely dwindles down.
Drops. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you start getting into perspective the things that you actually need, and like, and you're supposed to be the one providing it for yourself. So it's very different when you're growing up and you have everything like set up, and those are things you don't need to worry about because all you got to do is study or, you know, get ready for your future. So like, yeah, like it's like a solid like 7, 8 growing up, and then like, you know, you become an adult and you have to start living on your own, and especially in the parts of the states you're in, like the Bay Area of California has one of like the highest rates of like cost of living and apartments and renting, and it's ridiculous. So it's nuts. Like people are just like trying to do like 3 jobs and go to school and like pay for their tuition. Like it's so intense. Like people, when I travel,
there's no way to live.
No, I completely agree. Like I feel like, I mean, I feel like, you know, Florida, New York and California are kind of like the same in a sense of like, there's so much going on and they're like big states, and they're probably the most workaholic states. And that's the thing that I did not miss. Like my parents, you know, they came from like a third world country, basically did the American dream, did really well here, but it became to the point where they were so like, you know, preoccupied and concerned about money, to the point where it's like, I would have loved to have more time with you when I was growing up. I would have loved to have like all of these other things rather than like, you know, the money, because we were like pretty comfortable growing up and stuff. But it was just like you have it, but it was just like, but it's not enough. You know? You know, and it's this constant
the other day.
It's constant
like,
grind.
Yeah.
Like and I was like, man, you moved from another country to the United States to bring your kids up here for a better like future. But like at the same time, didn't you want them to come to this country to have choices, to have better opportunities, to not make sacrifices and live the life that they wanted? Exactly. Freedom. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah,
America is a false advertisement. I mean, United States of America is a false advertisement. That is not the land of the free at all. The taxes are super high. There's so many cuts in everything. Everything is always about money. Just you can't slow down. You can't slow down to catch your breath for anything. It's no quality of life. Before you get to the retirement age, it's time to die, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you. That is exactly it. It's the whole quality of life. Like, it's so funny because do you guys ever get like reverse culture shock when you go back home?
We don't go back home.
We ain't going back yet.
You're like, I don't want to go. Let's not go. Yeah, no, I understand.
If the devil left the door open from hell, would you go? Like if you snuck out successfully, would you say, you know what? I left my book bag back there. I'm gonna go back and get my book bag. If I get out of hell, I am not going back. I consider the U.S. hell on earth. Really?
Yeah. It's funny. Unfortunately, it's not just a book bag. It's like my mom and my family.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
To be honest, the only reason I go back is for my family, and you know, like my boyfriend is actually from South Africa. And we're trying to get him his visa for the United States. And I was like, and this is the only thing that would motivate me to go back is to like show him the US, travel, like see like all the cool places, but like for traveling, not for living.
Yeah, I can't do it. Especially now. There's so much things. You get stuck there. You're like, I was just supposed to be visiting, and now you're stuck. Like they closed the borders, and you're just stuck in America again. Now you gotta live through that and try to apply for the same jobs again, and they're like, oh, you again, you know?
That's very true. Yeah,
I will send.
That's why I make sure I always have a return ticket.
Anybody that misses me, I will send them a ticket to come see me, or we can do exactly what we're doing right now. That's as far as I'm going.
That's true, man.
So why did you choose Bogota, Colombia?
Oh, okay. So there's a list. Let's just keep going down. So basically, before Bogota, we were like in a bunch of other countries. So we started, so I met my boyfriend abroad when we were in the volunteer program in Georgia. And then after that, we moved to Turkey. And then after that, we were in China for 3 years, actually.
Wow.
And then South Korea, and then Colombia. So we went straight from Asia to Latin America. It was a big jump. So basically it's it was like, you know, like it's, you know how people are like, oh, what's your favorite something? And it's like, and people are just like, oh, this is my favorite drink, this is my favorite whatever. But when you put into perspective what you're comparing to what your favorite is, it's like, have you tried everything else? So when people are like, where do you want to live? What's your favorite place? What are you looking for? Unless you've actually gone out there and experienced other places, you really can't say.
Exactly.
You can have an idea of like, oh, I watched movies like Paris, France, Italy, you know, but like until you experience it, you really don't know. So like, even when we were moving to different countries, people are like, oh, you're going to stay here, and we were just like, we're just trying it out. Like we're seeing where it goes, how it goes. Do we want to be here? And we had lived in Asia for like a total of 4 years, which is a lot. And it's pretty intense. Like there's a lot of cool benefits to it. It's like culturally very like eye-opening and stuff, but you learn a lot in the process, and from being there you start to like really figure out what you want. And after being in Korea, which is South Korea, which is a beautiful country, it reminded me a lot of the United States. In the case of it's a culture of a lot of social pressure, especially on your physical appearance, to materialistic things and work and like status. And it was pretty intense, except the big difference I think is that in Korea, they all have to like be 100% happy and perky the whole time. So like, yeah, so it was just like, it was like super surreal. Like it kind of felt like Black Mirror, where I was just like, this is kind of crazy. And so I was like, you know what, we really need to go somewhere that's like, you know, like a place where people have other priorities, like people like other things, you know, like work and money aren't always at the top of the list. Like they have other types of values. So we did the research, and Latin America started popping up, and then we found out more about Colombia, and Colombia has the history of like the happiest, kindest people in the world. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And yeah, they basically live up to their reputation. Like coming here has been amazing, just for the fact that like Colombian people, like family and health are two of the most important things to them. Like you go to the office and you have like a cold, your boss will come out and be like, you need to go home. And I'm like, what? You telling me to go home because I have a cough? Like, I'm like, you know, like, and they actually like follow up with you. Like they, like in Bogota anyway, like for all the organizations I've worked for, there is no limit to the amount of sick days I can call in.
Wow.
That's how important it is.
And they care,
nice.
that means like they care about you because you're like, hey, you got how many points? And
that whole system back home. It's bad.
America. I mean, I keep saying America because we're from the United States.
The United States, USA.
Did you see that crap that was in the group where when we posted the post, everybody wanted to correct, you know, the fact that Mexico is in America.
Yeah.
So the post is, what made you leave America? Now, of course, we know that Mexico is a part of the continent.
Yeah, of course.
You're from the United States.
United States, USA.
We consider United States the America. That's how, you know,
it's just like, it's just how we are back home. Everyone, that's
even when you watch the movies, like when they're in Russia or Italy, they say, I want to go to America. They're always talking about the United States. So the post was for people that used to live in the United States. So they knew what we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's just ignorant people that got on there and was like, well, you know, Mexico is, you know, I'm like,
you know, there's always those trolls out there. There's always those people in those little expat groups, especially where they gotta be all high and mighty above other people because they ain't got anything better to do. So like,
and that's what I was upset about. I'm like, what was the point of you leaving the United States if you still have the ignorant mentality?
Mindset, yeah.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, like you get both, right? Like you get the people who leave for like a good reason. Like, what was it? Someone told me, they're like, you have people who are leaving to run away from something, and then you got people who are leaving towards something. And I was just like, and you can see those people when you leave. And usually in comments, you can see who those people are.
They show you their true colors.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, this might be a dumb question now.
No, not at all.
Other than family, do you think there's anything that can make you move back, not just go back? I like that one.
I'm all like, so how high are the dollar bill and the zeros? Like,
it's not a payment for me.
I know. To move back. So I've definitely thought about this in many aspects, because, you know, like I have quite a bit of family like in the East Coast, a bit in the West. But like, because I mean, they all came from other countries too. And I'm like, I know you're trying to do the whole like American dream thing. And I'm like, yeah, but I grew up in the American dream. And now, do you know what that dream is? It's stress. I'm like,
I like that. Yeah, we're going to have to take that quote.
The American
like, it's just stressful. I feel like I would only move to the States for a specific condition. So like, for example, my boyfriend is South African and his passport isn't the best. So if it came down to it and we were to get married and he wanted to become a citizen, that's the only thing I'm willing to do. Like,
I know.
You know, it's just for like the citizenship and everything, just because sometimes traveling for us together can be really difficult because, you know, the US passport, it's amazing. I'm blessed. Everyone should take advantage of it at all times. Don't take it for granted. It's amazing. But like, sometimes it's just a pain and it's so hard for him to, like, even for Colombia, like he still had to apply for like a 2-week tourist visa. Really? And it's with a very specific timestamp. So if you get delayed on your trip and you have it for 2 weeks and it's up a week, then you come in and they'll be like, all right, well, your first week's over. So you still only have a week here. And then he has to like leave the country and then come back in and reapply and pay. So it's like
hard for them.
Yeah, Colombia.
Yeah, it's
sucks.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's easy if like for like people from the US, from Europe, like not a problem for us, but it's just like South Africans do have a very hard time.
Yeah.
So like, and that's the only reason where I was like, okay, so if we need to get you a green card and go through that process, I wait to live in the States for a while. And I'm just like, oh no, like I was like, this is my test for how much I love you. like I will go back there if we have to, and like we could go into the tourism industry. We could live in Alaska for 6 months. I'm like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. It's us not staying in one place. Like, but that's the thing, is like it wouldn't be permanent. Like it would not be solid, because even my, you know, like my boyfriend, he is also not a fan of the US in the case of like the working culture and like just like, you know, just the mentality. So I'm just like, yay, thank you. Like, 'cause I don't want to go back.
That works out perfect.
If I had to go to the US, it would be somewhere that doesn't seem like the US, like an attachment, like
exactly,
like Puerto Rico or Panama, or because they're owned by the United States, or Hawaii, or Alaska.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It would have to be one of those outsiders type situations.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying Alaska. Like,
I wouldn't go back to I wouldn't go back to the Midwest, and I wouldn't go to the East or the West Coast or down South. It wouldn't happen. Just couldn't do it.
We stayed in a small town, and we was always planning to get out of the country. We always planned to get out, and it was no like, let's move into a bigger place, and then you're like, no, we gonna stay right here till we move out. So it wasn't no traveling around for us.
It was like escaping prison. That was how the US was for us. It was like, okay, let's be very strategic about this, because we don't want anything to stop COVID. We were moving to Medellin, Colombia.
Oh, okay.
Our flight was 10:30, March 17th. And on the night of the 16th, we get a message that says all borders to Colombia will be closed 10:30 a.m. March 17th. The next.
I'm so sorry. Oh,
and we got stuck in Florida of all places.
Oh no!
Yes, at the bus station with our kids and a dog and luggages.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we stayed in Florida for 2 months, thinking that the whole world was shut off, until God caused us to just get on the internet and see what's up with Mexico. Come to find out, Mexico never closed the border. So I'm like, we stayed in Florida this whole time when we could have been out of this place.
Yeah.
We didn't do no research or nothing. We just felt super stuck.
Because we were so, like, for 3 years, we were planning Medellin. So when that was cut off, we just automatically assumed everything else was cut off, and we didn't even try. We just were upset. And yeah.
So we said we was going to like wait till the borders open back up in Colombia, and then we're gonna go. But that never happened. So we ended up being in Florida for 4 months.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
4 months.
I thought it was just 2 months.
April, June. We didn't get to over here till July the 7th.
Oh snap!
So we was
that's a long time.
Yeah.
Oof. That's a gnarly place to be stuck in.
Yeah. Oh my God. I felt defeated. I felt so defeated.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
and hot.
So sad.
And
yeah.
Too. And lack of tissue and water because of the crap that was going on. So
I know. It's been incredibly surreal being out of the United States while COVID is happening, because I'm just seeing stuff on the news. Like, it's weird. Like, I'm like, is this real? I'm like, and I'm just like talking to my mom, and I'm like, what's going on with the toilet paper situation? And she's like, I don't know why people go. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like it's so crazy. Like, oh man. And especially like Florida as a state, like they are not handling it very well. So I can also imagine, like, oh man.
You know what was funny? The funny thing is, I believe that God was holding the winds back for our family, because when we were in Florida was the least panicky state. Like they were talking about New York and where else. Now, as soon as we get over here, they say Florida has the most cases out of everybody. We're like, we got out, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh gosh, yeah. So where are you guys? So again, sorry, where in Mexico are you guys?
We're in Playa del Carmen now.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's amazing. Have you guys been there the whole time, or did you guys move around a little bit in Mexico?
No, we've been here the entire time.
That's awesome. That's great.
We the plan is still Medellin, but now I don't know if we're going to live there. But I know we still want to like check
come
it
and
out.
Visit, yeah.
You know,
you definitely should check it out. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, it's just one of those things. Like it's important to like it's good to do the research, but it's important to experience it first to really see if that's where you want to be. Because I mean, you guys might just like fall in love with Mexico and stay there. Like,
exactly.
You never know. So
Medellin, see, weather is a huge thing for me. So hearing about Medellin's perfect weather was awesome. And that was definitely one of the factors. So we were really let down. And we got here, it's so hot. Yeah. It's so hot. So I like it here, but the weather thing is still not a winner for me to whether or not I want to like live here for good. I know I'll adapt, but weather's big for me.
No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Vietnam. We were thinking about moving there to real estate purposes, you know, like I heard about the opportunities there.
There is a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a couple places I definitely, because of the, you know, digital nomads and stuff, want to check out Chiang Mai, Thailand, you know, but as far as where we're going to stay or nest at, I'm not certain. We like it here, so we're leaning towards here, but like you said, we need to check out more places before we can just be like, yeah, this is it. Because
exactly, yeah.
We were looking.
And you guys have a family as well too, and I think that's really important because you have to consider like the resources, you know, for your kids and everything as well. And so yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because we found out BOGOTA, Panama, has like the same type of weather as Medellin. So it's like 25 degrees year round. I'm like, man, I didn't know that. And the cost of living isn't bad either. And it's a small town and it's in the mountains, pretty much like a similar atmosphere. So I was like, man, this, you know, we were so close-minded. We just got so fixated on Medellin. We didn't even study other places like Ecuador and other places, you know. So now I'm like more open. Now that I'm out of, I think America was just, you know, when we were in the United States, Medellin was just our fixated escape plan.
Yeah, of course. It was like that one door where you're like exit only and you're like, this is one door. This is where I want to go. I just want to get out. Yeah. But then, like, you're right. Like, once you're out, you're like, oh my God, the world's my oyster. Like, you know, like you're just like, I just got to do the research because there's so much out there. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Now it's like we appeared into that hallway in the Matrix, the white hallway where there's a million doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like now. Now it's like, I don't know if I want to sit still here or, you know, and so, yeah, but okay, so there you go, ask number 3.
You was just going on midnight. I'm like,
no, it's okay. I mean, it's sometimes I feel guilty when I talk too much, so go for it. I like to hear both sides.
Okay, so you was expounding a little bit more on what you was doing. I want you to go into a little bit more of how you making your living and how, you know, how you are surviving and enjoying your life.
Yeah, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, okay, so so I work in cybersecurity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Block all my passwords and stuff.
So, but like, you know, let me give you a little bit of context. I'm like, so basically once I started volunteering abroad, I decided to, you know, seek out the career of teaching English abroad. So my boyfriend and I basically became, you know, ESL, international, you know, English teachers abroad. So we did that for I did it for about a little over 6 years. He did it for about 7. And then everything kind of changed for us when we came to Colombia. So when we moved to Bogotá, we found out that teaching English in Latin America is a very different market. Like the demand is there, but the money isn't. So like they to make as much as you did in like Asia or other countries, you need to have way more qualifications, like really, really high level. And those qualifications are very expensive. Like you're looking at a certification that's like $1,000. And I'm just like, okay.
Wow.
But that's the thing is like, if you're investing that much money on those kind of certifications, how long is it going to take to pay off just with the salary that you're earning in Latin America? So it was very much where like, I think it's either my personality or where I'm from, but I'm very much a person where like, when I see that something needs to change, I will change it. Like I do not settle. I don't. So when we were in Colombia, like, you know, we did like the whole teaching, like my boyfriend did it full time, teaching for corporate businesses. Like he'd drive out to companies and different things, not drive, like ride out on his bike. And then I decided to do part-time in some of the language centers. And after about 6 months in, I was like done. Like I was like, I don't like this. Like I don't feel challenged. I feel like I'm plateauing. Like I either need to get more qualifications to continue to teach like in a university or something, or I need to completely change because this is not it. Like I don't like this. And so I basically went on to actually a few of the expat groups, including, I think there was one like the expat women's group in Medellin. And I just started like, you know, making a post, and I was basically like, you know, like for the women out there who like, you know, came in as teachers, like, you know, how, like, was it beneficial to invest in higher qualifications for those better jobs in education? Or is it better to take the risk into learning Spanish and just go into a completely different industry, since there is like, you know, kind of that need? And I got primarily responses about English teaching. It was just all like, yeah, invest in like the higher education, or they'd be like, no, just wait. But it was all primarily just the English side, none on the other side. So I was kind of like, it looks like people just kind of stuck with what was safe. And I'm just like, okay. Until one day, this other girl messaged me directly, privately, and she's like, hey, so I work for a cybersecurity company, and we're looking for a new marketing writer. And I saw that you have a travel blog, and I read it, and it seems really good, and I'd like to talk to you. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, what?
What is the travel blog?
Yeah.
So the travel blog, okay, so it needs to be updated. It's been like a year or two now. But like it's called wanderingexcursions.com.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, wanderingexcursions.com. So like I started it and got it into more once I was like moved into Colombia because I had more free time. And yeah, so that kind of it just kind of took off. So I met with her in person, and she was like, apply for the job. Like, I really like what you're doing. And she actually told me that the company that she worked for, that they actually had a handful of people who kind of came in the same way, where they were English teachers originally. And then they started coming in as writers, learning about the industry. And then they started to build up the knowledge. Because cybersecurity is such a very specific type of industry where unless you have a degree in it, which again is very specific, you have to learn on the spot. So they were willing to take in some people to like educate them through like positions like in marketing and sales, and then move up and so on. So that's kind of how she got the job, how one of her colleagues got the job, another guy in management got the job. So she's like, that could be you. And I was like, all right, let me give it a try. I don't know anything about cybersecurity, but let's, you know, like I'm willing to get there. I applied, I got the job. I became the marketing writer for like, it was a really great company as well for about 9 months. And I was like in it, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to be a writer. Like whether it's security or travel, I'm writing, you know, like I had this whole idea in my head, I'm going to be a writer. And then a CEO approached me on LinkedIn and messaged me privately and basically was like, hey, you want to grab coffee? And I was just like, that's weird. Like, I had heard about, like this guy, and he is very well known in the industry for cybersecurity. He actually formerly worked at the company I was with for 9 months, and he had left, and he actually founded that organization from like the ground up. So I was just like, oh my God. And then someone was like saying, dude, I think he might try to like offer you something, like, you know, like, and so basically I spoke to him, and it was there. Like, he basically offered me and my boyfriend full-time positions with the company, because while that was happening and I was doing my thing, I was able to get my boyfriend kind of like a freelance job for market writing for this like his startup, and it was just freelance. So I didn't really think too much about it. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe you can also start getting into the thing too, because he was slowly getting tired of English as well. And then he was like, yeah, no, he's a great writer. We really like him. I know what you could do already. You've done a lot in the previous company, and we'd like you guys to come in on board. You'll have different managers, so it won't be a conflict of interest. And yeah, so that's kind of how it happened.
That is cool.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Both of them got the job. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we started with this like cybersecurity company startup. We started this year, so in January. So it's really crazy to know that we both like started with this company, and then COVID happened. So it was also kind of nice for us, because this like industry is already kind of flexible for remote works. We are very, very fortunate to be able to have, you know, like this amazing opportunity with this company, and, you know, like be able to have that flexibility. So yeah, it's been really like eye-opening, and it's completely changed our lives, basically just moving here.
So happy for you. Wow.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what is the weather like in Bogota?
So it's really funny. So a lot of people will tell you that it's really bad, but it really depends on the person that you're asking. Because for me and for my boyfriend, we're both from like very sunny places that has pleasant weather consistently. So like he's from around Cape Town in South Africa, and I'm from like around, you know, like San Francisco. Not in San Francisco, because that's like a completely different weather, but like in the nicer part of California. So we don't really necessarily have very seasonal weather. It's just pleasant. So for us, actually very humid and hot weather is actually too much for us. So Medellin is really nice, but it's still too hot for me. So we actually prefer Bogota because it's super high in the mountains. So in Bogota is about 8,000 feet above sea level. So altitude sickness is like a big thing here, like when you first move. So as a result, it's pretty consistent, and it's very cool. Okay. So like a lot of people complain like it's rainy, and I'm like, it's not like Portland, Oregon, or like, you know, Washington. It's not like raining like that continuously. Like it has weather. It's just that the weather's unpredictable by day. So like you just have to be prepared. So like in a day, it could start out sunny and hot, and then it downpours for like 10 minutes, and then it's windy, and then it's nice again. Like it's just kind of weird. Like it's just not predictable. That's what I think people have a problem with. But for us, it's very comfortable. Like we're like, oh, so we just have to bring an umbrella, and then like in 10 minutes it's done. And then it'll be nice and sunny and or like cloudy, but it's never to a point where we feel uncomfortable. So like I enjoy it. Yeah.
It looks like you have like a little jacket on. So.
Yeah. Like it's just like, I mean, and most of the times I just wear like a light jacket. It's not really too bad. Like I mean, of course there's certain months where specific seasons are like windier than others or a little bit rainy, but not to the point where I feel like it's a problem. Like I actually enjoy the weather here.
Okay, well that's where it's at, man. All right, so what do you estimate is your average cost of living in Bogota? Like, like food, if you want to, rental expenses, and just like entertainment and all of that.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Colombian pesos because there's no way I can convert it into dollars. It's just too much math that I cannot handle right now. Okay. So I would say like per month. So like so also bear in mind that Bogota is the capital of the country. So the cost of living is much higher here than the rest of the country. So from here at Medellin, it's a big jump. Like, you know, but at the same time, because the cost of living is technically higher, the opportunities and the salaries are higher. So it reflects off of it. So it balances each other out. So I would say like Okay. So if you're looking at of course your apartment will probably take the biggest chunk of like your salary, which is like, so I would say like for an apartment for us, like because we split the cost, we pay about 1,000,000 pesos each per month for our apartment, and then utilities are about like 500,000 pesos.
A million?
Yeah.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Converting them is like, it's so hard, like, because we get into millions in pesos.
Pesos.
Well, actually, that's about 2,000,000 pesos each.
Yeah,
right?
so 2,000,000 pesos. And then we pay about like 500,000 pesos for like full utilities, gas, lighting, all that stuff. It also pays for like the building administration, so like upkeeping and stuff like that. Okay. And then for like entertainment and like just general like stuff, like food is really cheap. Like, I mean, like you could probably spend like, depending on what kind of like groceries you get and where you shop, you can definitely spend between like 300 to 600 a month, but that's on the high end. That's if you go to like basically the Colombian version of Trader Foods and like, Trader Joe's, and it's like exported fancy stuff. But that's really high. You don't need to be doing that. Like during COVID, we've definitely been spending a bit more just because we're eating out more. So we're getting a lot of delivery, and we're not like, as much as we love cooking, it's just like, when you work from home and you're like, the last thing I want to do is cook. You're like, I've just been here the whole time. You're like, so we have been ordering out a bit more. But I mean, because the thing is like out here, we don't own a car or anything. So that's a big saver as well. Like no gas or anything. Like we either use public transportation, taxis, Ubers, or like we cycle. Like this city is big for cycling. So we cycle a lot around the city. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So that's awesome. That's awesome. We don't own a car anymore. I joke and I say that we're the wealthiest homeless people. Because
I can totally get that.
Airbnb it and we just taxi it, because here they don't allow the Uber. Yeah. But so we just taxi and we Airbnb. No, like we haven't signed a lease yet, or anything.
Yeah.
So it's been so liberating because in the US, like that's all you're consumed with, those two things, just those two things that we just named, your car and your house, consumes most of your life. And then
to mention, I know you was going with, because we was talking about like because we ride the taxis all the time, and we was talking about like if we was because we sold our car, and if we was at home and we was taking a taxi, everybody would look at us like we poor or broke. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's different. It's different.
The mentality is different. Like,
oh, that's so funny because like it's the opposite in California. Taxis are incredibly expensive. Wow. So like I don't take taxis like back home in like the West Coast or the East Coast because they're super expensive. So that's like more like you'd be considered a rich person because like it's so expensive. But I mean I'm just happy.
Yeah, like on the West Coast, I guess, like in Cali or something, and maybe in New York as well. I guess that wouldn't be too much of a bad thing because I heard really nobody owns a car in New York. But in the Midwest and down south and stuff, you gotta have your own car. You gotta have your car. Like everybody is so materialistic.
Yeah, you look like you ain't got nothing. Like you ain't got no car. Like you get on a bus, like you get looked down on.
No, that's true. Like I mean, that's the thing is like when I go home, it's like I don't have a car anymore. So like my parents or my friends are got to drive me around and people do think it's weird. That's why taxis are considered rich, not because it's like, oh, like it's like New York. It's more just because you got to like find one and then you got to like call it. Yeah. You can't, it's not a thing on the street where you can like hail it. There's nothing. Yeah. Like, I was like, okay. Yeah, no. Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm very happy for Uber.
She's not very happy for Uber.
So happy for Uber. I'm so glad that that's a thing.
So Uber is back and running up over there, huh?
Yeah. There was a lot of back and forth with that specific program in Colombia because they, it was like, but it competes with like the local government and the taxis. So they had it, and then they had it illegally. and then they banned it, and then the app wouldn't work, and then now it's back, but then it looks like they had some agreement with Uber where now it's back legally, and they changed like specific programs. Yeah. So there's a few options, like you can use Cabify here as well as Didi. Didi is also very good.
Yeah, see, we don't have that here. We gotta take the local taxi. We're trying to get a dedicated driver so that we can stop getting gringo priced around.
Yeah,
but
that's what's hard. Yeah, that's definitely a really hard part. Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah, but so we definitely.
I was going to ask, do you have any more questions?
Oh, shoot, we definitely want to check out Bogota. Yeah, when we come to Medellin, we'll probably check out Bogota at the same.
Yeah, let me know if you guys drop by. I would love to meet you guys. Like, show you around a little bit. Like, I'd love to. Yeah.
You're our first interviewee on Journey to Tomorrow YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I feel very honored. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is going to be awesome. So get that wanderingexcursion.com back up and running, because we're going to send a lot of people, because you have
okay.
I know have a lot of experience, not just travel. Like when you were she showed me the post, your response on Facebook, and just by what you were saying, I'm like, oh man, we need to talk to her. Like you have knowledge. That's why I said you need a book. Like everybody thinks they need to be in their 60s or something when they write their first. Nah, you already have so much that other people are trying to figure out, and just a little bit. If they had just a little bit of what you have, that could change their life forever. Yeah. So yeah, don't wait. You can always make more books the more you learn.
That's true. All right. Yeah. You guys are motivating me. Okay, I'll definitely look into it.
I'm serious.
I most definitely enjoyed this talk with you.
Thank you guys.
You very qualified. I'm very happy that you gave us a chance to get to know you.
Oh, thank you for making the time. I really appreciate it as well.
Thank you. Like this was the best Sunday I've had in a long time.
Yeah,
oh, that's so lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna follow up with you in 6 months to a year to see.
Yeah, no, keep in touch for sure. Yeah. I'm so saying this. I'm not saying this for the camera. I'm saying this for real. Like, keep in touch.
And we want to interview your boyfriend as well, because
definitely.
We don't know what it's like to grow up or visit South
America.
Oh my God, South Africa.
Yeah. So
oh my God, it's amazing. Like
we can.
It's a beautiful country as well.
I bet, man. We used to watch these videos from YouTube, but we never got to have in-depth conversations with anyone from these places. So I feel like it'll be super awesome to have him soon. So
yeah, definitely.
We'll keep in contact with you, and we want you to have a very positive and productive day.
Well,
thank you.
Good night, right?
Yeah, it's evening time
it's
now.
Evening,
so the rest of the day, evening.
Yeah. All right.
We done soaked up these seats.
Yeah, it's hot out here.
Wedding, like.
It looks cool, but it's humid.
But I'm very jealous of your view, though. Like, I was like, I want to go to a body of water so bad. That's the one thing about living like from California. I'm like, I just need to see the sea. Like,
ocean.
Yeah, the ocean. Like, I mean, Bogota. I mean, unfortunately, I can't show you here, but like we have beautiful mountains, and I love seeing it. But I miss the water.
That's what she was saying. She was like, but like if we move to Medellin, where the heck is the ocean? And I was like, well, it's like 2 or 3 hours away. And she was like, oh,
boy.
Yeah, but Medellin is beautiful. Like it's super lush, like super green, like nature everywhere, hiking, and there's some really beautiful like small villages like near it. It's just like that whole area like is gorgeous.
I've seen some amazing videos of Medellin and the mountains, and I imagine myself being there, waking up, seeing it, seeing some beautiful Airbnbs where they had the balcony and you can see the whole city, and I know it's beautiful, and I most definitely want to visit, but 2-3 hours away from the beach.
Yeah, see,
No,
we're really,
I understand.
literally on the beach.
Like that's
right now.
see,
Like,
that's amazing. That's really amazing. I'm very jealous right now. Oh my gosh.
don't be jealous.
Oh my
Come
gosh.
out here.
Yeah. No, like yeah. Mexico's
So-
cool. I definitely. That's another thing is like that. This is why when people are like telling you like, oh, Mexico's part of the U.S. It is in a case of visas because my boyfriend really wants to go to Mexico, but you need to basically have a visa for the United States that includes Mexico. So it's like if he's going to apply for a visa, he might as well do it for the whole United States
Exactly.
and be able to go to Central America. So it's
Right.
just like,
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
That's another
Yeah.
reason why. That's another reason why I didn't want to go. Look at it. We started another.
We start right.
so I'm so sorry. I'm like,
No, that's fine. We're
That's
not ready.
us.
But
Yeah.
Panama, I wanted Panama, but and Puerto Rico, but I was like, no, that's just too close. I'm done with the U.S. Like
Mhm.
I barely want to see any tourists.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
people,
Yeah.
like we don't speak fluid English, and it's
don't
like a
speak
handy.
fluid.
I mean, we don't speak fluid Spanish.
I was like, your English is good. What are you talking
Right.
about? I was like,
We don't speak fluent Spanish, and
Yeah.
it feels like a handicap sometimes, but it also reminds me how far away from hell I am. So it's also a good thing. So I'm like, okay, nobody speaks English here. That lets me know I made it. I got out.
You got out. Yeah.
I got
definitely.
out. It's like a scary movie. You're like, yes, I made it. Yeah. So,
Oh
but yeah,
man.
so I'm gonna let
All
you. We're gonna let you finish the rest of your day and whatever you were doing prior to this. And like I said, have a positive and productive day. And we will keep in touch. And we'll let you know when this go live, so you can share it with everybody you know too.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much again for everything. And I hope you guys, I hope you guys don't run into any more problems, that it's just smooth sailing from here. And that all you have to do is just like choose the next place that you want to check out.
Oh,
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Same thing with
All
you.
right.
Your boyfriend. I hope he ever get that visa so he can stop dealing with problems.
All right. Thank you. You guys take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.